All right, Shalom. And this is the book of Psalms, chapter 96, verse 4. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. It says, He is to be feared above all gods. For all gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. All right, before I start, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor. Kohaloim Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, which is the true name of what the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. All right. And I would like to give double honors to my apostles and my elders at Great Millstone, who were well and worthy to be counted double honors. And peace and salutations to every brother preaching the truth throughout the four corners of the world. The truth and sincerity in the hearts, all right? All right, I got this scripture because I want to go into idols. All right, cut dry. Just idols, man. Because it's there's something about these idols that Jake, just can't let go of. In the book of Hosea, it says, Ephraim is joined into idols, let her alone. And then with these idols comes different beliefs. All right, but there's only one true belief. All right, and that's the belief of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which is only given unto a certain selection of people. And in that selection of people, there are another selection within that selection, that are chosen, that are going to do the things of the Lord, because the Lord made a deal with us saying, if you do what I tell you to do, all the things I tell you to do, I'll always be by your side. And we broke that. All right, so the Lord chose us, to make that covenant with. All right, so we're that selection, we're the only selection of people that can access the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But it seems like Israel just can't get it right. All right, they're just a bunch of can't get rights. All right, and they go off and worship these gods and these idols. That's why I got this scripture. This is Psalms 96, verse 5. I'm read it again. I started 4. It says, "For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised." All right, He is to be feared above all gods. Why? Because He's the only one living. He's the only living power that can physically touch you. All right, he may not do it with his own finger, but his finger is going to cause another finger to touch you. So at his command, he can hurt you. So he's greatly to be feared above all gods. Verse 5: For the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. All right. What does that word idol mean? It says of not, good for nothing, worthless. All right, false gods, vanity, vain. All right, these are all idols. No value, thing of naught. So it doesn't exist. All the nations of the gods do not exist, but the Lord made the heavens. In order to we see the heavens every day. We see the heavens every time we walk outside. So the Lord made the heavens, so He has to be real, because we're looking at the heavens, and the heavens are real. Now, I'm gonna get Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 26. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 26. It says, as a thief is ashamed when he is found. All right, they have a saying for that in the world. It says, you've been caught red-handed. There's nothing you can, it's irrefutable to try to fight that. You've been caught red-handed, and you're ashamed. If you got some ounce of dignity in your body. All right. It says, as a thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. All right, and we are the ones that are the selection I told you about. The selection within the selection, we are ashamed. Now, 2/3 of our, and 2/3 of Israel is not going to be ashamed, But the ones that really sincerely care about the Lord and the doings of God, of Yahweh, which is the world ignorantly calls God. His name is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus Christ. All right. So those that sincerely care about Him, they're the ones going to be ashamed. All right. Now, the 2/3 are going to be ashamed too, but they're not ashamed right now. But when will they be ashamed? I'll read it. It goes on down. All right. It says, so will the house of Israel be ashamed. Their kings, their kings, their princes, and their priests, and their prophets. All right. Because the ones that are the 1/3 are the ones that truly care about the Lord right now. They're the ones that's really going to be ashamed. We're the ones that's really ashamed of what we did in our past lives, you know. But the ones that's living it up on this side, the Israelites that's living it up, the 2/3, they're going to be ashamed. All right, when their death is before their face and their fear is upon their eyes, that's when they're going to be ashamed. And it's going to say it says saying to a stock. All right, a stock is usually a block of wood that they go and fashion. They pay a woodsmith or a carver or whatever you title that profession in the ancient world. They would pay that person, that artist, you know, to carve wood, a wood sculpture. All right, and call that a stock. It says, saying to a stock, "Thou art my father," and to a stone, "Thou hast brought me forth." Excuse me. It says, saying to a stock, "Thou art my father," so thou art God. And it says, to a stone, "Thou hast brought me forth," for they have turned their back unto me, and not their face. All right. So you're not acknowledging the Lord. You're disannulling Him. You know. It says, but in the time of their trouble, they will say, "Arise and save." All right. Now, who they gonna be telling that to, man? You know, they're gonna be telling it to they just like the Book of Judges, man. Every time in the Book of Judges, Israel went off and did something wicked. But then when their captivity was before their eyes and they was in captivity for 10 and 20 and 30 years, then they were like, "Lord, save us. We will get right. We'll turn and face you," and then turn their backs on the Lord again. All right. And it says in verse 28, but verse 28, but there be gods that thou hast made. It says, but where are the gods that thou hast made thee? Let them arise if they can save. Now he's being rhetorical. If they can save, let them save you, which they can't because they're not living. You know, they're idols. And we went into that word, which is what, you know, they're non-existing. They're not, you know, vain, empty. So they can save. It says, if they can save thee in the time of thine trouble, for according to the number of the cities are thine gods, O Judah. Therefore will ye plead with me? Ye all have transgressed against me, saith the Lord. In vain have I smitten your children. They receive no correction. Your own sword have devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. All right. Now it's going into something else, but that's, you know, that was the point. The Lord, Scripture says, "Why you be stricken anymore? It says, why should I strict you more? Why should I strict you anymore? You will revolt more and more." So when you're chastising your children, all right. When you're chastising your children, you expect them to get right because they don't want any more chastising. But the Lord is saying to Israel, "I have stricken you so many times, and you keep revolting more than you did the last time. So what need is there for me to strike you anymore?" You know. I'm gonna get one more. Now I'm gonna go to Wisdom of Solomon. I just go through the whole. You know what? I'm gonna get 2 chapters in Wisdom of Solomon, and then I'm gonna leave it at that. Because this is a serious matter, man. When you take on these guys, you take on different doctrines. All right, and whether that God be yourself, your mama, your father, you know, your grandmother, whoever you look to and esteem highly in the way you should esteem Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, which is the true God of this, you know, this world and the world to come. You know, whoever you esteem highly as Him, that is your God. So with those gods, with those idols, those come doctrines, man. You know, for instance, the Nation of Islam. Now they have their God, their idol, and with their idol, they have a set of rules and set of laws that is vain and empty. You get what I'm saying? So with these gods come different doctrines, man. And if you come preaching another doctrine other than this one, if you're an Israelite, hey, then you got hell to pay. You know, you gotta speak this word directly and correctly. If not, then lay your hand upon your mouth, man. Thus saith the scriptures. All right, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 15. I get 14 first and 7. Actually, I'm gonna go up. All right, and this is an example. Solomon's giving an example in the first part of this, and I'm gonna just go down all the way to 14. All right, I'm gonna go all the way down to 14. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and 1. It says, again, one preparing himself to sail, and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him. All right, so that was kind of funny to me when I first read it. He said he calleth upon a piece of wood that was more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him. All right, so it's more rotten than the boat, and actually I took that both ways. It could be the actual piece of wood, the vessel. I mean, the idol that he's calling upon could be more rotten than the ship. All right, but I mean morally, because you're using you're using the ship in a righteous way. All right, let me get a scripture real quick. Because you using the scripture, you're using the ship. That ship he's using it righteously. Because everything, everything is created for a purpose. But when you misuse that thing created, then that's when you're using it for wickedness. And it's gonna go into it. It's gonna go into it. Sirach 39. Sirach 39 and 24. Sirach 39:24. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. It says, for the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil, and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly. All right, and that's simple. All these things are good to the godly. So the sinners, they are turned into evil. Why? Because you're misusing the natural purpose of these things. All right, now, so for instance, go back to Wisdom of Solomon. For that ship, it said that ship was more rotten than that piece of wood he was worshiping was more rotten than the piece of wood that was carrying him. And I figure that morally because he's worshiping it. That piece of wood is righteous if you're using it for what it's meant to be used for. Shelter, fire, If you're using that piece of wood righteously, but he's taking the wood and defiling it. So it's more rotten than the ship. He's not worshiping the ship. The ship is doing its purpose. It's built to, to travel upon water. But that piece of wood he's worshiping is more rotten than the ship, because he's worshiping it. He's taking that wood and defiling it. It says, for verily desire of gain deviseth that the workman that the workman built it by his skill. It says, by providence, O Father, governeth it. For thou hast made a way in the sea, and a safe path in the waves, showing that thou canst save all from danger. Yeah, though a man went to sea without art, nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thine wisdom should be idle. And therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing through rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. All right. So basically he's saying, it says, but thine providence, O Father. Providence means foresight. The foreknowledge, foresight. So the Lord already knew what was going to happen. It says, but thine providence, the affairs that unplayed, the affairs that unfolded, what happened in reality. It says governed it. So the Lord governed that ship that he rode upon. It says, for thou madest a way in the sea and a safe path in the waves. Even though he worshipped into that idol, the Lord still got him across that, them raging waves. It says, showing that thou canst save all from danger, not just the ones that prey upon him, not just the Israelites, but the Lord is capable of saving all from danger if he wanted to. All right. It says, yeah, though a man went to sea without art, Now that word art, see if I still got it up. that word art goes into skill. The noun of art in etymology is a skill as a result of learning or practice. All right, a work of art, practical skill, a craft. It says to prepare, artisan, from the Greek word artisan, to prepare. To fit together. It says skill as a result of learning or practice. And when you come into this faith, this knowledge, you're learning and practicing this art. All right, now these scriptures are art. You have to know this art. This is a skill. Keeping these laws, keeping these commandments, this is a skill. Only the Israelites can know. So he didn't have that art. Only it says what's the Romans 7:11, it says Israel will not obtain what he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it. They're looking for that art, that skill to apply to their life, but they can't do it. The Lord only imparted that to some people. Sirach 6:22 says, she is not manifesting to many. Talking about wisdom is not manifesting to any. So it says, though a man went to sea without art, he didn't pray, he didn't ask the Lord, he didn't give supplications. He didn't give glory to the Lord when he got over safely. So he didn't have the art to do that. But nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood. So he thinking that the idol got him across the sea, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. So the Lord saved him, but he thinking this weak vessel has saved him across that sea. All right, that's the same thing. What's that? I'm gonna precept real quick, because these people in today's life, they literally think that just because you cried to that idol and you made it through, like for instance, you got people that that pray to Jesus Christ. Now that's an idol. And then they get what they pray for. The Lord gave them what they prayed for, not Jesus Christ, but they get a glory to who? Their idol, and they're gonna pray for that. The Lord giving these people gifts and benefits, but they're gonna suffer in the end. This is Ecclesiastes 8:11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, so it's not gonna be done expediently, instantly, right then and there. It says, therefore, the heart of the sons of men are fully set in them to do evil. So you're gonna keep doing evil. You're gonna keep praying to this idol, Keep praying to things that's vain. That's evil. It says, though a sinner do evil 100 times, his days be prolonged. Yet surely I know that it shall be well with him that fear Yahweh. It says, which fear before him. All right. Back to that. I just got that scripture just to prove, like, these people pray to the idols, thinking their idols doing something for them, but honestly, it was the Lord. But they still gonna have to pay for that. Pay for praying to the idol in the long run. All right. It says, verse 6. It says, for in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by thy hands. I'm gonna read that over. It says, for in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by the hands escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generation. For blessed is the wood thereby righteous cometh. All right, let's read that over. It says, for in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by the hands escaped in a weak vessel. All right, so the hope of the world, the glory, they gave it to a weak vessel. It says, and left to all ages to a seed of generation. It says, for blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh, but he that made his hands is cursed as well it. Read that over. But he which is made with hands is cursed as well it as he made it. He because he made it, and it because being corrupt, it is called God. All right, so like I said in the beginning, he corrupted that piece of wood by calling it an idol. So now the idol is more what? It's more rotten than the vessel that carried him upon the ocean, It says, for the ungodly and his ungodliness are both unlike hateful unto God. Both alike, Salakia. Both alike hateful unto God. So what's hateful unto God? The ungodly and his ungodliness are both hateful unto God. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. All right. So if whoever making these idols, uh, you know, are going to be punished with the idol. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles, there shall be a visitation. And when it says visit, when the Lord is visiting you, it means He's going to punish you. So these idols of the Gentiles are going to be punished. It says, because in the creature of God, they are become an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. All right. So all the unwise out there, they're not being led astray. They're being led to slaughter. All right. It says that my people have been sheep led to the slaughter. You know, my people have been lost sheep going from mountain to hill. Your shepherds have caused you to go astray. You know, so the Lord's going to pay for that. You know, I mean, the Lord's going to have them pay for that. They're going to have a greater damnation than the people that actually fell into that madness. All right, but they're going to get punished too. But you're going to have a worse damnation than they did. It says, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. All right, so you corrupt life, it becomes evil. It becomes defiled. All right, when you devise these idols, it says, for the devising idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. All right, and who's the only people that can fornicate? Israel, because we're the only people that can give glory to the Lord. You know, now all nations in the kingdom, all nations are going to worship Him. You know, but Israel is the only nation. Israel is the only nation that can fornicate, because we are the only ones that's like a comely and delicate woman unto the Lord. You know, it says verse 13, for neither were they formed from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. All right, it says, for by vainglory of men and enter into the world, therefore for vainglory of men they entered into the world, therefore shall they come surely to an end. All right, let's read that 13 over. It says, neither were they from the beginning, so they're newly made, neither shall they be forever. So they're going to die. But the Lord is made, like I said in the opening verse, the Lord made the heavens. You know, it says, for by the vainglory of men they enter into the world, and therefore shall they come surely to an end. You know, so the Lord's going to visit them, like I said. All right, let's get the next chapter, because both of these chapters go hand in hand. You know, let me find out which verse I want to start at. Wisdom of Solomon, 15. I'll start at 1. It says, but O God, art gracious and true and long suffering and mercy and ordering all things. It says, for if we sin, we are thine, knowing thine power, but we will not sin, knowing that we are accounted thine. All right. It says, let me read that over, verse 2. It says, for we sin, well, if we sin, we are thine, knowing thine power. So we're going to get judged when we sin. You know, we do fall short. You know, we can't ask the Lord for forgiveness. You know, we still got to pay for that. You know, it says, you know, so we know the Lord's judgments. It says, knowing thine power, if we sin, you know, we are thine as in we fall into His hands. You know, but it says, but we will not sin. Why? Because it says in Psalms 19, it says, I have hidden that word in my heart. Who's going to do that? Only the elect is going to do that. It says, O Lord, I have hidden my word in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. Here it is, 11. Psalms 119 and 11. Thine word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. All right, it says might not, because we go off. You know, we still make mistakes. You know, but that's why He said we will not sin, knowing that we are accounted thine, hoping that we are the part of the elect. Verse 3, it says, "For to know thee is perfect righteousness, yeah, to know thy power is the root of immortality," which is going to get us immortality. That's why it starts right there. That's why it's the root. Knowing the Lord and knowing his righteousness is the root of immortality. That's where it starts from. "For neither did mischievous inventions of men deceive us, nor an image spotted with diverse colors and painters' fruitless labors." All right, when he says deceive us, he's talking about the elect. It says, "For neither did the mischievous inventions of men deceive us." It's referring to the elect, the only ones that are going to follow the Lord holy. "Nor the image spotted with diverse colors," the piece of wood, the stock that made it, with diverse colors, the painter's fruitless labor. So it's vain labor. Whoever painted it. This is verse 5. "The sight therefore enticeth fools to lust after it." All right, and the Lord said, we are considered the wise men. The 1/3, the 1/3 with the elect. Considered the wise men. So fools lust after it, and so they desire the form of a dead image that hath no breath. Back to that idol being vain. It says, "Both they that made them and they that desired them, they that worship them, are lovers of evil things, and worthy to have such things to trust upon." So you're worthy of damnation. You're worthy of trusting in a piece of wood or a piece of whatever, something that's vain, that cannot deliver you. You're worthy to trust upon it if you're trusting upon it, that abomination. Verse 7 says, "For the potter tempering soft earth, fashioning every vessel with much labor for our service." Back to that Ecclesiastes said, "For these be the things they created. For these be the things that man need for his survival." But it says, "But they are evil to the wicked." Why? Because they turn them into evil. All right, and it's going to give an analogy like that. It says, "For the potter tempering soft earth, fashion every vessel with much labor for our service. Yeah, the same clay he maketh both the vessels that serve for clean uses." Like what? Like using it for its proper service. Anything that the law don't, as Scripture says, where there is no sin, where there is no law, there is no sin. So anything you can use that vase for, where there's no law, then it's clean. Carrying water, holding flowers, or just putting whatever whatever you want to use it for. That's not in violation of the law of the Lord. It says, "And likewise also all such is served for the contrary, for bad uses." It says, "But what is the use of either sort? The potter himself is the judge." Now that's double fold, because the scriptures, well, he's actually referring to an actual potter, but the scriptures refer to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua being a potter, and the same thing. It says, because the Lord softened us out of the earth. He makes us up from the earth, and he chooses what he wants us to do, whether he wants us to serve clean uses or the contrary. But he is the judge of what we're gonna do, and that's why we hoping that, or the hopeful elect is hoping that we are hoping that we're serving for clean uses. It says, verse 8. It says, employing his labor lewdly, he maketh a vain god of the same clay, even he which a little before was made of earth himself." So you were made of earth yourself, and it says a little before, because to the Lord it was like yesterday. It says, "Even which a little before was made of earth himself, and within a little while after returning the same." All right, so you die and you become earth again. "When his life, which is lent him, shall be damned." So you lending, you borrowing your own spirit. All right. So how you can give life to a god? But it says, "Notwithstanding his care is not that he shall have much labor for," it's like not to have much labor, "nor that his life is short." So you don't care about him not having much labor. Well, he don't care about his life being short, but what? But striveth to excel goldsmith and silversmith, all right, and devoureth to do like the works in brass, and counteth it his glory to make counterfeit things. So he counted it his glory to make false idols. So he's striving to excel in something that's vain. All right. It says, "His heart is ashes, and his hope is more vile than earth." and his life is less valued than clay, less than dirt, basically. You know, you less than dirt. Your life has less value than clay if you worship in these idols. It says, verse 11: For as much as we know not his maker, for as much as he know not his maker, and him that inspired into him an active soul, like he said, he borrowed his soul, he borrowed his life, and breathed a living spirit. So he know not the person that created him and gave him his soul, but they counted our life a pastime and our time that here a market for gain. For say they we for say it says for say they we must be getting every way, though it be evil means. For this man that of earthly matter maketh brittle vessels and graveth images, knoweth himself above all others. You offending the Lord, by doing all of that. You know? More, but says above all others, for above all other transgressions, you offending the Lord above them. All right. Oh yeah, I'll go to 15. It says, for all the enemies of thine people that hold them in subjection are most foolish, and are more miserable than very babes. It says, for they count all the idols of the heathens to be gods, which neither have the use for eyes to see, nor noses to draw breath, nor ears to hear, nor fingers of hands to handle. And as for their feet, they are slow to go. And that goes into that Jeremiah 10. It says, they must needs be born. So you have to carry them. You have to make it come alive, because it's not alive. You have to do all of these things. You got to deck it. You gotta put, like he said, he excels. He strives to excel in goldsmith and silversmiths. It says he's striven to excel goldsmiths and silversmith and devour to do all works in brass, and counteth his glory to make counterfeit things. All right, but you gotta carry it. It has no nose to draw breath. It has no legs to walk. Ain't got no eyes to see, no ears to hear, no hands to handle, no feet. So it's slow to go. It's empty. For a man made them, and he that borrowed his own spirit fashioned them. That goes back up, as it just said that like 2 verses up. A couple minutes ago, a couple verses ago, he said that. After man borrowed his own spirit, and after you go back to the dust from which he came, you worse than the earth, you worse than the clay you worse than the idol that you made. All right, it says, for man made them, and he borrowed his own spirit fashioned them, but no man can make a god like unto himself. For being mortal, he worketh a dead thing with wicked hands. For he himself is better than the things which he worshipped. All right. Whereas he lived once, but they never. All right. So your existence is better than the idol you're worshiping, because it's empty and not alive, and it's never going to be alive, and you are alive. So you're worse. You're worse than the actual idol that you're worshiping. So that's saying something about worshiping these idols. All right. It says, verse 18, yeah, they worship those beasts also that are most hateful, for being compared together, some are worse than others. All right, like ugly, nasty beasts, like crocodiles and the other beasts that does disgusting acts. They worship these things. Neither are they beautiful so much as to be desired in respect of beasts, but they went without the praise of Yahweh and his blessing. All right. So you went without the praise of Yahweh and his blessing. It said devising idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. All right. So that's not praising. That's not praising the Lord. But that's all I wanted to give for right now. And until next time, I'll say I hope this video is edifying to the elect and the elect only. And until next time, you brothers, I say shalom.